really left the house much. I think I go out once a week to go grocery shopping, and that's about it.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And what do you do in Iduna? What do you play?
I sing and I play guitar. So, or I play mostly lead guitar, and then I sing on occasion. And Jason, the other singer, he does lead singing for the other songs. And yeah, we trade off lead vocals. I do backup for his song. He does backup for mine, and yeah, we just try to make as much go on as humanly possible to keep things interesting.
Yeah. Now, how long have you guys been a band for?
God, I think it's a little over 7 years actually now. So it's been a while, and I think we played with you guys, and that was the last show that we had played with our original drummer because he had to move away from Toronto, and so we've got a new drummer now, and we've had a couple shows lined up before all of this happened. So
yeah,
and then we had to cancel those, and hopefully, in a year or wherever people start playing shows again, we'll be able to start playing shows again.
Now
maybe we can come up to Ottawa and chill and all hang out there.
100%. It's funny. It's funny because I feel like as soon as this is all done, everybody's just gonna go guns blazing, like cover every province, play every, Yeah.
Yeah, and then we'll all realize what a horrible mistake that was, and then it'll all happen again. It'll never go away. But
100%.
Yeah.
So I'd actually love to talk about your guys' kind of journey with the new drummer, and a lot of bands have experienced what happens when you get a new member, and I guess when losing a member, and how that can be a major setback. And my band, we personally went through it, and we were so fortunate enough to find a diamond in a rough with our bassist. But I've seen what happens when you get that setback. It can kind of hurt your creativeness, your motivation. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the process with what happened with you guys?
Well, so it definitely was like a wake-up call for us, because we'd been the same four guys since the very beginning, and we'd spent so much time together, and we'd written all these songs. We had big plans for everything, and we were just like, oh god.
Yeah.
So it really it made us really kind of have to plan out things, and so we recorded all the songs that we'd kind of like been working on in that process when because Craig gave us like a few months before he had to leave. So we kind of hunkered down. We rented some equipment, some nice mics to like do some drum recording, and so we have the stems for all those down, and we've just been going through them all and like on our own, just recording all of our different parts and putting it all together and doing production and what about this cool idea and stuff. And then Gab, our new drummer, is picking it up and getting acquainted with all the songs, and so we're also doing all these music videos that we wanted to put out for all the songs we planned to put out throughout the year. And so Gab is helping us do that and recording the videos with us. And we had like a whole string of songs that we planned to record videos for and put out throughout this year, and that's obviously not going to happen now.
Yeah.
And we're really looking forward to like playing a couple shows to lead up to the next single that we're going to put out, and kind of break Gavin and our show experience, because like we've been practicing to a click and stuff like that, because that's always, and we will play live to a click sometimes, and it's just make sure everything's always like sequential and everything, and it can be it's a bit of a trip if you're not used to that, so we've been making sure that we're all used to that again. But yeah, like all that's kind of just gone down the hole, so we're basically just like trying to just figure out what else we can do while we're all stuck in our own separate homes and we can't all meet up in the same room right now. And I think we've started to get together to like understand what we're gonna do from then, because like we basically can all go off and record our separate instruments on our own. We'll just need to like be a bit more diligent about it. It'll take longer because
Yeah.
one person will have to go off and record their vocals until they're satisfied, and then they'll send it off, and then we'll all listen to it and put it together, and then another person will go off and do their own thing.
Now, how do you, because I know a lot of people are in a position where this is a major blessing, where it's like we have no choice but to start getting creative and remain creative. What are you guys kind of doing to keep those juices flowing? Are you like, because a lot of bands, their writing system, they're not even necessarily ever really in the same room until they put the final pieces together. What's your guys' kind of writing process?
Well, I guess for the most part, it's always been kind of Jason and I both write the songs that we sing lead on, so it kind of usually just goes that one of us will go off and figure out like, all right, this is the basic chorus structure and this is the basic verse structure, and here are some lyrics to like get us an idea of like where we're going with the song, and then usually once it's at that kind of like pre-song level where it's like there's like the bare bones of a song but it's not all done yet, there's all the other cool things that make a song interesting and all the production and stuff, that's when we usually bring it to the band and we'll be like, all right, let's work on this idea, because like there's a hook here and I really like this idea, and then we'll all listen to like the idea, and then we'll usually what'll happen is like we'll run through like a bunch of ideas, because Jason produces songs like a madman. He'll be like, here's 5 songs that I've written in the past week. I'm like, oh my god. Like, all right, let's start lining it up. Let's do this kind of thing.
So with the quarantine, it must just be on like rocket fuel then.
Oh yeah, like I don't have quite the I'm always a bit slower with the songwriting than Jason, so he'll have like a million songs, and I'm like, here's 2 that I've written.
But it's quality. It's quality.
I like to tell myself that, but it probably isn't.
Now, you guys actually, one thing I love about you guys is you put out content, and then you got a video like to match, and like you're constantly putting out visual aspect to it. And I know when I spoke to Tim, when he was saying that you guys have a hookup somewheres through somebody's girlfriend works in a movie place or something. Tell us a little bit about how you guys might enjoy utilizing that, because it seems like you guys put out really quality product in the end.
Oh, thank you. I mean, we try, that's for sure. So Jason's wife now, Sabrina, she works in the film industry, and I think you're talking about the Nosedive video that we did
beautiful
a few years back.
Yeah,
that was just the level of pre-planning that Sabrina did for that was just incredible. We just basically rolled up one day to like the warehouse where we were shooting it, and it was like there's a whole crew of people that were helping out, and we're just like, oh my god, this is incredible. And it's we definitely have tried to like we definitely tried to learn as many lessons as we could from that, so that we would, whenever we did something on our own going forward, that we have at least something similar plan-wise, so that we could be like, all right, this is our shot list that we need to do. These are all the people that we need to have here. These are all the locations that we need to be able to set up for. And then, so it was definitely a learning process from that. But that initial one was just like such a dream to work with. And then we're walking around this warehouse, and there's all this really nice equipment that we're not using because it's it's basically just people like donating their time to help us do this thing. But like, that was incredible.
But you definitely you definitely learned from it, from what I've seen, because your most recent video. Tell us, what was the kind of the concept behind that video? Whose creative juices were inputted into what scenarios? Because the way that chorus comes in, and just the vocals of that and the eeriness of this, I remember the first time I heard it, I was like, I think I might have commented something that it was like being trapped in a coffin, but I felt comfortable about it. And it's very eerie, but it's beautiful. So why don't you just tell us about the process for that video?
I'm trying to remember now, because I think we were just, it's mostly just, I think we wanted to go on a Groundhog Day kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then we were just trying to imagine, like, all right, what would be a good thing to do this? Because it's like, it's a song about kind of dealing with the feelings of, like, you know, love and lust and all that kind of, like, that stuff that kind of, like, rises up in I think I wrote it, like, 10 years ago or something.
Wow.
So it's like, yeah, it's one of those songs I wrote, like, several bands back, and then I kept bringing it forward to every band I'm in. I'm like, what about this song? And I was like, no, I don't really feel this one. I was like, but I had something. I want to do it. There's a lot of, like, the feelings that when I wrote it with, it was like, there's all these, you know, really strong, you know, I like this person, like, how do I deal with this?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really, you know, I was awkward, you know, teenager at the time, so I didn't really know how to deal with all those things, and so it's like, it's this, and so we're trying to capture that kind of, like, don't know how quite to deal with it, and it, like, the way that the looping party kind of makes it go is, like, it kind of, like, it kind of helped capture that I keep feeling these things, I don't really know how to, like, deal with it properly until you know, put the puzzle together, kind of, like, very sledgehammer metaphor kind of idea. But it worked, and then and that was, I think that we were all just like, we just sat around a room one day and we were just brainstorming ideas of how to make it look interesting, because, like, you know, you can have a party in your house and film it, but you need to be able to kind of, like, go through all these different ideas of, like, all right, this time when I open the door, what's going to be different? So there was, like, that, I think Tim kind of had the grander idea of, like, how to piece all the shots together. And I think that last, I'm trying to remember what that last shot was, because there's a famous painting that Tim was referencing with all the positions of all the people on the couch and stuff, and everyone was frozen.
Tim's creative as hell, man. I love what he does.
Yeah, it's pretty it's crazy, like, because we'll, like, talk about this stuff, and we'll kind of, like, come up with an idea for everything, and then he'll kind of just go off for, like, a week, and then he'll come back and say, all right, I have a script for this video now, and it's like, oh god, okay,
nice.
Excellent, let's go for it.
Nice. I brought snacks.
No, snacks is that's my duty. That's the contribution for this.
Well, it's interesting because, you know, you mentioned the party videos, and I think we've all seen so many party videos, but the concept that you guys used, it was done extremely well. It was tasteful, and, you know, I was invested in it. And if I'm thinking off the top of my head, I would, you know, I would go Everlong is up there. I would go Jimmy Eat World, and then Iduna. Anyways, it's great. It's amazing. Like, you guys did a really good job on it. And when I say that, I could see that you guys definitely learned or took something from the original video that you guys did, because it was well put together. Just your transitions and just the timing of the vocals and the instruments and everything like that. So it was really well done.
Thank you.
Do you guys have, once this is done, what's kind of like the next big focus that you guys want to do?
Well, we actually have a video that we're in the editing phase for that we had shot before all this happened.
Okay.
So we're just kind of gearing to get that together, and we're trying to just figure out how to schedule all this stuff, because we don't really know, you know, how long this is all going to be like this for, and like when the next time we're going to be able to actually film anything is going to be. So it's like there's always that, like, competing things of, like, I have this thing and I want to share it with everyone and it's cool, and at the same time you have to be like, but we have to, like, make sure that we don't just do a bunch of stuff really quickly and then not have anything for several months. So, you know, we're all walked away. Yeah,
it's interesting because you know, my band as well, we're working on something, and it's a very similar thing where it's like you have something that you want to share, but based on the way that things are going, it's so much more strategic that you have to be careful with what you're, to your point of what you're putting out when you're putting it out. and you can't go stagnant. So it helps when you have people who can go away for a week and come back with a with a script, or people who are just writing like crazy. But yeah, it's definitely going to be different. And one thing that I think about is like what things will be like, for when live music starts up again. What do you think is going to be literally the biggest change when we're allowed to do gatherings again? And I know that a lot of people, especially in the music community, are like, screw it, I'm going, I'm buying tickets to every local show there is. What do you think that needs to kind of be done, and what do you think are kind of the biggest differences of what it was before are going to be?
I mean, there's definitely going to be the period of time when things start loosening up, that you're going to have a bunch of these people like us who are heavily invested in going out to music and making it, performing it, and consuming it, because a lot of the people that go to all of our shows are all other musicians as well. Yeah. So we're all kind of in this big group of people trying to just make it as good as possible. So you're gonna have it's gonna be a lot harder to get other people, I think, to get past this fear of going out and being around people. So that's gonna be a big hurdle that we're gonna have to overcome, and just less smaller capacities and smaller shows. And I think we're going to have to figure out, I think what's going to be a thing that bars will have to do is figure out how to live stream a live show, basically.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have to get the soundboard set up and then be able to pump that to a video stream. I think that's going to be a big thing that would help a lot of bars to get people interested and intrigued with it, at least. And it's going to be harder to get the bars on board because, what do they get out of it other than people recognize the name and we're more willing to go there because you don't have people sitting there drinking their beer, right?
100%. And it's interesting, too, because let's say that it does open up and there is still going to be a bit of a struggle where, if we're going to keep distancing, it's like, good luck keeping distancing at I don't know, oh my goodness, what would you, a Trivium mosh pit. It's just not going to happen. It's everybody keep five feet away and just enjoy the show. So I think that even if things open back up, to have some type of distancing is, in my opinion, I think is only going to be a matter to make people feel more comfortable. But at the same time, you're going up to the bar and you'd be grabbing a glass or whatever it is. So it's definitely going to be tricky. And kind of to what you said is that what bars are going to jump on to do live streaming shows. So it's going to be tricky. But there's going to be so many things that we're just going to have to be okay with it being slow for a long time, because it's I think there was an article I read that was people aren't going to be willing to go out to things like music for 6 months to a year. Yeah.
And it's that's kind of it's this whole thing is almost like a death sentence to the live scene for at least for a year, and it's gonna be grim for a bit.
Yeah. Well, what I was saying I was talking to Alex Bradley previously, and one of the things we kind of touched base on was, I hope that when this does transition and we're allowed to go, that this is a wake-up call for a lot of people to, here's your public service announcement, support your live music scenes, support live music, support concerts and everything like that, because this is, like you said, it's a death sentence. I mean, this is literally a gut punch to all live music. And I think that, there are positive things that will come from this. Again, people getting more creative and doing things that they might not have necessarily had the time to do. A lot of people who aren't working never would have had the time to sit down and be like, I don't have anything to do for a week. I'm going to write a song. So, yeah. So it'll be interesting to see definitely what comes out of this. And when everything gets back to normal, I don't know if you would have one or even be able to answer this, but what would be the one band, no questions asked, all expenses paid for, you got a ticket to, what's the first band you're going to see?
That's a good question.
And I ask these questions because I can't answer them myself.
Yeah, like, I mean, I can think of like a bunch of bands that I've always wanted to see, but I've seen them already. So it's like I don't like. I honestly have no idea. Like, I think here's my this is a band that I really wish would do another set.
Oh, I love these.
Because they because them Crooked Vultures only did like one tour for their one album, and I didn't go to see them when they were doing it, and I kicked myself every single time I see an article about them, and every time I get to see it, Josh Omi like posts, it's like, they're gonna do it again, they're doing it again. So that would be, if they were doing another tour to, you know, celebrate another album, or even just like the 10-year anniversary of the first one, that would be my, like, I'm going, I don't care, I will wear a mask, I will wear a full body condom, I don't care.
For sure. It's interesting because that project, I guess, again, Josh, he's just a wizard of musicianship. It just doesn't make sense to me. And, you know, the fact that the Queens of Stone Age have been a band for a very, very long time, and consistently, even with their transition of members, I remember I was a Queens of Stone Age fan early on when, you know, Grohl was tracking the drums, but when Joey Costello came in and was doing Little Sister and just those really beastly beats, I became like a mega fan. And then he departed, and I was like, oh no, like, just no, not again. But now Theodore, they're amazing. Their last two albums have been absolutely insane. Now, I don't know, I know you like Vultures, but did you get into Queens as much as Vultures?
I got into them right before like Clockwork came out, and so it was always Songs to the Death for me, and Era Vulgaris. Era Vulgaris is like my favorite. You can't see my shirt though.
Yeah, I didn't see it until now. That's awesome. Oh man, that's
But that Broken Robot kind of rock is so good.
Yeah.
And then I got really into their first album, because who doesn't love Regular John? But
What's your favorite track off of that album?
Self-titled?
No, the one you're wearing.
Era Vulgaris. Suture Up Near Future is like, that's the one that gets me right in the heart.
Me too, man. That is hands down my favorite song.
There's something about it. It's just like so like mournful. It's just like, oh, my heart. I don't know what's happening. And you know, there's so many good songs in that album. I just start listing all the songs on the album, basically.
Yeah, that song, for anybody who's not heard that song, it's such an emotional roller coaster. And then when you get to the end of the song, you're like, what is going on? I'm not going to give it away, but it's an amazing track, and like, you can tell that there was a lot of emotion that went into those tracks. Even Make It With You, that song is like a borderline ballad almost, and it's amazing. So that, I didn't even notice your shirt until you stood up. That's hilarious.
Well, yeah, it's not a super flashy one, but no. And
nice.
I kind
of. So you were able to name me a band that you would take off and see right away. And one of the questions I always have to ask is, you got to give me three bands, your three top bands. And now, again, I'll reiterate, I can't answer these questions myself, so it's just fun to see people trying to think of three bands that, you know what, these are like three bands that I would go to see, drop of a hat, any day of the week. So what are three bands that you can think of that would be like that? And this is, again, going to be musical, knowledge for a lot of people who don't even know these bands, or they may.
Well, I mean, I really want to see Tame Impala. That's kind of like they were doing their kind of current tour. Really would like to go see them at one point. Let's see, another one that I want to see.
Could be your favorite band.
I would I would like to see the Foo Fighters again.
Yep.
I saw them when I've seen them twice actually.
Yep.
Because I saw them the first time I saw Foo Fighters was they were doing that acoustic tour that they were doing for In Your Honor, and they opened for Bob Dylan, and that was a weird couple of groups that put on a bill, but yeah, they kind of blew Bob out of the water.
It's funny because like all the Bob fans that are there are like, okay, like I get it. Like you can put like even Everlong, like when he goes into it, even on his acoustic ones, like
oh yeah, it's still like a full band like show. It was like it's unplugged in the sense that the guitars are all acoustic
yeah.
But it's just like there's so much volume it doesn't really matter at that point anyway.
Yeah.
I know that was a good show. And I saw last time I saw them, that was when David broken his leg, and so he was like
on his throne.
He was confined to his throne. Yeah. So I would like to see them again before that stops happening. Another one that I want to see. God, I'm terrible at answering these questions because I'm always just like, I don't know.
So what would you
see? Then you see that they're touring, like I want to see that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna make this a little bit easier for you. So you got Tame, you have Foo Fighters, and I'm gonna throw in Vultures on there.
Yes. That's the unspoken band that I was trying to keep it to bands that were actually touring, but yes, I would. Vultures are just I would give an organ to see them.
So now you have to open for one of those bands, you have to close for one of those bands, and you have to cut one from the bill.
Well, I think I would open for Vultures.
Yeah.
And I would close for Tame Impala, and I'd probably cut Foo Fighters out because I already got my girl fix from the Vultures. Sorry, Dave. I can only see one day at a time.
Okay, that's legit. You know, again, I would
hate to close out a Vulture show. That would just be like everyone's just like I can't hear anything anyway.
Yeah. It's funny because even like then there's like the respect thing of being like we're not worthy. Like I don't want to close out a band like that at all.
I don't want to follow that.
Yeah. It's funny. I remember it was like oh my god, it might have been more than 6 years ago. This booking agent accidentally booked this group called the Slipnuts instead of Slipknot. And so, so they were like this like kind of like swing jazzy like quartet, and they went out and they were like, yeah, we're slipping on nuts, and like that was their bit, but Slipknot actually let them open for them. It pretty much went as well as you'd think it would go. It was, it was pretty intense. So, we're looking at probably, I'm going to say a safe bet, a year. Like, maybe a year. Give or take. Until, everybody starts getting back to playing shows, the way that they might have been before. What do you think that the Toronto music scene that will affect the Toronto music scene compared to other music scenes? And again, we kind of touched briefly on just population level. So I feel like some of the bigger cities might have a harder time dealing with that, or maybe they won't. I don't know. How do you think the Toronto music scene as a whole will be, rearing to go or affected by that?
My fear is that a lot of the bars that we've played a bunch of shows in, like over the past decade, I guess, that I've been in Toronto, I'm worried that a lot of them are just going to go away. Like the Hideout already closed down. There's a couple others that recently announced that they're closing out to, like, I think underground, and even like places like the Horseshoe, I don't really know how they're gonna weather the storm, because it's just like, how is that even gonna like work as a business for a year while no one really wants to go and do anything? So there's definitely gonna be a bit of a vacuum. But like if we ever get to the point where we can actually start returning back to normal, because there's a vaccine or whatever, it's definitely gonna be. It's gonna be dead until it's not, and then it's gonna be this sudden like bunch of people are all just gonna go for it at the same time. It's like, as soon as that moment clicks where everyone's like, I can do this again, you're gonna have a whole bunch of people just going for it. And that would be invigorating if I get to see it happen. But it's just like, it's really just gonna be like, there's gonna be a lot of new kind of like rough around the edges venues to play music at. It's probably going to be more like a punk at those maybe like 2 years. So excuse me.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
Or just like like this is my backyard and now we're going to do a show here kind of thing.
Because people don't come and count how many people are here, so it's all good.
Or like maybe I could see like maybe parking lot concerts, maybe like you just rent out the parking lot at a big department store or whatever that's not open at the moment or whatever, and everyone stays in their little parking lot.
It's funny you say that because there was actually a DJ concert that I watched where everybody was parked in their cars. And they all just watched it.
I saw some pictures from that where it's like the drive-in concert thing, right?
Yeah. No, it's interesting because I think that, let's say that you didn't drive in, but there's somebody at the gate, and everybody thinks that they complain about the lines to festivals before. Yeah, okay. You gotta go in 5 feet. There's gonna be lines like into the next province after things open back up. But let's say that, you let somebody in and you did it in a parking lot. You have your parking space as your own, okay? And then somebody else's, it's empty, and then so on. It's going to be really strange to not enjoy the feeling that you get from live music when you're sweaty and you're bumping into people and you're rocking out with people you don't even know. So I feel like that first concert, if they take some aerial overview shot of just a bunch of people standing there spaced out, it's gonna be like, is this our future? Like what is this?
Yeah, like I think there was already someone already did like a social distancing concert recently where it was like you had like all these little groups of like 3 chairs and they all sit in their chairs and they all have their masks on and it's like like it must be like it's like heart-wrenching because like you want to be at a show, but at the same time it's like, oh god, this is so like sit in your chair kind of thing. I can just imagine there's gonna be like so many moments where it's like there's gonna be like everyone's gonna be in the bar and it's like everyone's like being really nervous and like all being all close to each other, and then there's gonna be a lucky band that gets that moment where everyone just kind of like clicks and it's like, it's okay if I'm bad people, and then everyone just has all that kind of pent up fun that just gets released. And it's gonna be very lucky to be that band that gets to experience that, but I can imagine it being a long time before that actually happens.
So with your guys' stuff that's coming out, I know that you mentioned that you guys are working like on a lot of stuff, and you guys' creative juices are flowing and everything. What I guess one of the questions that I have, and we were asked this as a band a while ago. It's like, have you guys found your sound? Are you comfortable now with the members that you have, where this is your sound going forward, or are you still trying to evolve and kind of find what direction you're going to be going in?
I think it's always definitely going to be an ongoing process.
And evolving,
it should always be an ongoing, evolving process. Like, you shouldn't just find your sound and then stick on it. I mean, it's fine to kind of like get your kind of niche where it's like, this is kind of like how I write, and then knowing how you write for yourself is always like a defining thing of like how you define your sound.
Yep.
But like as a group, you should always be trying to find new things to be talking about. And even like when we started first as a band, it was always very introspective. Like, we wrote a lot of songs about how we felt about the situations that we were in, like, and it was always about, you know, relationships and how they made us feel. And as we've gotten older, I guess we've kind of gotten angrier because there's so much things going on in the world, and a lot of more of our songs kind of like take on more political aspects to it, I guess. Like, even Nosedive, that was very like anti-gun kind of thing, and like Crickets is like, I wrote as almost like a direct protest song, because that was like a whole thing with when we were having an election in Toronto for all of our members of the Toronto Council, and Doug Ford came in and just were like, no, it's going to be this size in the middle of the election, and threatened to use the notwithstanding clause to like ran through this legislature, and I was just like, this is not right. And so that's kind of like why I wrote that. But it's like, I never really thought that I'd be writing songs that had like a political tinge to it, but it just kind of like, it evolved, because that's just the life you're living right now. And I mean, that's kind of like why you have a bunch of people writing quarantine songs right now, where it's like, that's kind of like what everyone's experiencing, and that's what you're gonna write about, because that's life. That's how you deal with life as a musician, is you write songs about it and you try to express how you're feeling about that. And so it's definitely like, and as the world changes and we all become accustomed to the new normal, we're all gonna write songs about what that makes us feel and how that has affected us. And I mean, I would hope that that's normal, because that's what we're supposed to do. Like, we just write about our experiences, and
I'd actually love
writing the same songs all the time. You're not really living in the moment. You're just kind of like thinking about this idea that happened 10 years ago, and I guess at some point. So it's always an ongoing process.
I'd actually love to ask you about just kind of the political standpoint of writing, because a lot of people in bands, and we've witnessed firsthand, where they're just like, no, you don't do that. There's still this weird stigmatism of being, and that dates all the way back to even Dixie Chicks writing about Bush. You know what I mean? It's just like, you just don't do it. You don't need to do that, because then you're generalizing yourself. You're putting yourself into a category where you're a political band, and I hate that, because it's like, just because we write a political song doesn't mean that we're necessarily a guns blazing political band. We can write about heartbreak, like you mentioned. You can write about whatever you want. It's about what's going on and how you feel. When, you know, and you mentioned the particular story about what happened in Toronto. What was it that at that point where you're like, you know what, I got to write this down. I got to do this.
I don't know. It's not like it's. I run into this kind of thing a lot, where someone will. It's like a question where, like, what made you decide to write about this? Like, I didn't really decide to write about it. It just kind of happened. It's just like, here's the thing I was feeling at the time, and I put it down because I was frustrated about what I was hearing, and that's just how it happens. It's not. You don't go in. At least I find, not for me at least, I don't try to like go in with like this idea of like, I want to write a song about X. I mean, I do try to do that sometimes, but it rarely ever works out. And it's always the things that kind of just arise out of like whatever is happening that I always find that I have the best connection to, because that's I know that's the most natural. It's the most like organic way of developing it, and it's like, it's hard because, you know, you don't always get those moments all the time. You have to kind of just force it sometimes. But that one in particular was more just like, I read an article, bunch of articles actually, and you know, there was a judge's response when they're challenging it in court, and it just, everything I read just made me kind of angry about the whole thing. And so you just write a song about it because that's how you feel.
That's actually exactly what I was looking for. It's like, you know, not necessarily like what made you decide to start writing about it, but what was the event, the point where you're like, I'm gonna write about this. And you know, like you mentioned, like those moments don't come along all the time. And I've seen bands who, you know, go and they're like, okay, we're gonna write, we're buckling down, we're gonna write, and we're gonna come up with something. It's definitely not as organic as when you write what's on your mind and what's on your heart. And it's sometimes, you know, with grief and terrible things that happen, is like they spark a lot of emotions. And you know, music is such an excellent platform to be able to you know, to tell those stories. And that's why I also get super frustrated when people are like, stick to music. It's like, you're not, like, stay in politics.
That's what we think music is.
Exactly.
That's how this works. Like, when you experience things and we talk about them, that's like what we do. There's no like safe things for music to talk about. Like, that's the whole point.
It's interesting because I remember, and this is a story that is not often told, but we also write Neonero write political songs, and we were ready to play a festival, and our lead singer was told to not talk about politics. I'm giving you as blunt as we can possibly say it, not to speak about politics. And so then we researched it, and long story short, we didn't play the festival because it was borderline like they were trying to control what your political views were. Let's say that type of circumstance arose, or have you ever come across that where you guys have been playing something and somebody's approached you with like, nah, you know what, I don't like that, or what are you trying to say here, and you probably shouldn't do that. And if it has happened, what was your reaction? If it hasn't happened, how would you react?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, a lot of the times we write vague enough lyrics that it's usually, there's at least a little bit of like wiggle room so that people can put their own spin into it. And I think that's usually a good thing, because you don't want to like browbeat your message into it. You want to like, give it some interpretation. So, I don't know. I guess if someone told me like, you can't sing about this, I'd be like, why? It's just, I don't know, I guess. But like the thing that you said, you dug into it and made you question like, okay, why are we actually doing this festival? Like, why is this actually being done? And then if you find that it's not aligned with what you want to accomplish as an artist, then I think, it's your responsibility to be like, you know what, this isn't cool, I don't agree with this, and I'm not going to play this. And I think it is very important to like know what you're willing, like what point you're willing to go in order to like get your message across. And if you're not willing, if you need to,
you definitely have to have some type.
I'm waffling here because it's a hard question to ask, because like
it's deep, and it's not like a simple answer. It's not like, oh yeah, I would say screw you, man, and move on. It's like
exactly. Because there's more nuance to it than just being like a yes or no thing. There's like, I mean, like, what's the situation? Why are you having this argument about this? Like, and there's like, it's an important thing to be able to know, like, at what point is like the message going to be compromised? And if you can kind of like wiggle around that to be like, all right, I'm not going to say this word, but I'm still going to use this metaphor. And if they don't get that that's a metaphor for this other thing, then great, it's not going to pass them, kind of thing. But if it's a festival that's like celebrating something that I don't agree with, then definitely don't do it.
It's interesting because, you know, we didn't even necessarily know until after this circumstance happened, and then we started digging into it. But you learn from it and you move on. But you know, it is what it is. What's something that you guys or you personally, what are you looking forward to in the next little while?
I guess us putting out our next video, getting that all sorted out. I'm trying to. I'm just trying to keep myself busy doing acoustic videos stuff. But I like to. That's something that I've always kind of like gone on, and I actually kind of enjoy the fact that now I actually have the time to go off and do this thing off on my own every now and then. I mean, I'm lucky enough to have a job still, so I'm kind of like working full time. But at the same time, it's like you're stuck in your house all the time. Mm-hmm. It's nice to be able to just like reach over and grab your guitar and be like, all right, I want to work on this thing for a couple minutes while I let my test run or whatever.
Are you a gamer or you're not a gamer?
I'm not really much of a gamer anymore. I used to play a lot of games back in high school, but it's kind of fallen off. I haven't even turned on my PlayStation for 7 years now.
Well, if you've gamed before, I'm going to give you an option between two choices: music or game. What's your choice?
Like to do right now?
To do right now. I got two things that I'm going to pull out right now. One of them's a game and one of them's music.
Definitely music.
Oh, come on. You don't want to play Sonic 2? Come on. What you do? Jeez. Oh my god. All right. Well, this album right here, I know that this, for me personally, I think it just honestly influenced a generation, and I'm sure it. I'd love to hear kind of what the first things that come to mind with this album, because anybody who knows this album, they're like, oh shit, like that was it.
Man, you're making me nervous now. Oh god. Oh man, right in the high school.
What comes to mind? What's something that you're just like, okay, Hybrid Theory?
It's definitely one step closer. That was on that album, right? I'm not mixing it with Meteor, right? Yeah.
One Step Closer is track 2.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I was more into Meteora. That was like the album that really got me into Linkin Park. That was so in high school we did this. I was in the drama class and we had to do these videos. We had to do a video for a song. We had to like come up with a choreographed thing, and some people came up with a dance, and my group decided that we were going to recreate a Numb concert.
Oh yes! Please share.
We had our. I had just started playing guitar, and so I brought in my guitar, and my friend brought in his drum kit, and I think another guy brought in a bass. I can't remember if we actually had a bass playing in the thing, and so we did like we just mimed playing along with the song, and we were doing like a whole like concert jumping around thing.
Nice.
And so that was. I wish we'd been able to get that video from the drama teacher, because
that was literally my next question.
Because we kept joking that we were gonna make him give it to us, but we never got around to it, and I was always very sad by that. But it's probably floating around in someone's Facebook somewhere.
Yeah. What made you guys choose Numb? Was it just the fact that Linkin Park was just the voice of,
Yeah. I think we all just like were really into the song at that time, and we're just like, it has to be this song, because that's like, it was just like a really high energy, like,
Yeah. Nice.
That was fun. I miss high school sometimes, but also I don't.
There's so much music that came. I mean, this sounds so like, okay, well, there's music that's coming out all the time, but there was so much excellent music that came out, through 2001 to 2010, especially even the rock and the metal scene. What would you say that like a band that really influenced you that you use in Iduna?
This is gonna make you laugh.
No, it won't. Trust me, if you hear mine.
It's Blue Rodeo, actually. That's like the first band that I got really into, like before high school. It was like grade school or whatever, and it's just something about Jim and Greg's vocals
Yeah.
Because they do that whole double vocalist thing too, and that's like kind of like a big thing of what I try to do in Iduna a lot is have these, at least always have both of us singing on all the songs, just so that there's always that harmonic content to it, and it gives you a bit more depth as opposed to just like having one person singing all the time. And so that's been my biggest influence, and that's kind of like a big thing that I've always relied on to like kind of like guide me forward with ideas. My Blue Rodeo roots.
You know, it's interesting too because Blue Rodeo, not only the fact that they're in the top 5 greatest Canadian bands of all time, but when I talk about, you know, people hear me use a term like organic, and they're like, well, what do you mean? It's like Blue Rodeo is organic as hell. They are just so natural with their sound and just the way that they feed off of each other and just the progression of their music. So I get it.
How about you? What was the band that you were gonna?
Oh man, the amount of bands that I guess influence me are it's just a bottomless pit of bands. But there's a lot of, well, I could say from a musical standpoint, there's people, and then there's also from a drumming standpoint. So I mean, Stuart Copeland of the Police, hands down, is he's in my top 5 influences ever. Chad Smith of the Chili Peppers. You know, I would even go, you know, Jose Pasillas of Incubus. If I would even go, oh my goodness. I can't even, like, I'm trying to just name Ray Luzier of Korn, you know, Mary Duplantier of Gojira. The list goes on and on and on. But what's interesting is that what you grow up listening to, or what your first introductions of, like, when you start understanding music, how that really carries on with you as you grow as a musician. And I remember listening to Californication for the first time and just not understanding how I was feeling the way I was feeling, because it was a moment where I understood music compared to just listening to music. Because, I mean, trust me, I grew up, well, you're listening to Aqua and S Club and, you know, those, but not to say I didn't listen to, you know, Bruce Springsteen and Steve Miller Band and all those guys, right? But when I first understood what music really was, it was definitely the Chili Peppers and Chad Smith and his drumming. And that has, you know, kind of carried over with what I do. Who would you say kind of is, you know, you mentioned Blue Rodeo as a big influence for you, but would you say Cuddy is kind of like a musician that is an influence for you?
Yes, definitely.
Nice.
I think it was his first solo album that he did way back when. I think that was like one of the first CDs I'd ever bought.
Yeah.
That was just like listening to the songs so many times that I wore the CD out kind of level of like, and that's like kind of like the stuff that I started learning guitar with too. It's like some of those songs, and they're ones that I go back to all the time still. Like, and I was like, all right, let's play this song again and see how I remember how it goes, kind of thing.
Yeah. You know, a big controversy, well, not in controversy, but kind of debate in the music scene is whether or not to do covers. And my band on what we would do for a cover. Would you guys ever do a cover? If you did do a cover, what would that song be?
We've done a lot of covers, actually. We actually a while back, I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago now, we did a Smashing Pumpkins tribute show.
What?
A bunch of Pumpkins songs, yeah.
What?
I think we have a couple live videos of them. There's one from that the tribute show that we did. I think we have a cover up of I Am One. I think that's off the disc.
Wow.
And then I think we have another one that we did at Door when we did our album release. And we have another cover in our set list that we were gonna do at the show. It's Panic Switch by Silver Sun Pickups.
Nice. Oh my god.
And we're always just like, we're always just like, kind of goofing off. Like, we always say, like, okay, let's learn a bunch of covers, and then we learn one. And then we're just like, I don't want to do this in the band setting anymore. I think it's important to, like, I like to learn covers, not necessarily, you don't have to necessarily perform them, but it's good to, like, dissect the song and understand why the song is what it is, and, like, kind of identify the little moments in the song that make you go, oh. So, like, that's kind of, like, why I do those acoustic covers right now, is, like, to kind of just keep myself thinking about, like, all right, how do I break this song down into, like, the very essence of the song, and do it easily, that I can just kind of do it in one go kind of thing. Because, like, it's really, as musicians, we like to, like, add layers to things, and, like, all right, what about this counter melody, and, like, what about this other instrument, and, like, what if we take away this part and we put in an extra thing here? And so we can get very, like, analytical with it. And that was actually when we were doing our album with Mark McAway. He made us go back through all of our songs that we pitched to him and do them acoustically. So every song that we wanted to record, we had to just play it acoustically for him and, like, send him that demo of it as well. So, like, take away all the instrumentation and stuff, and just you and the guitar, and that was all you got. And if it could hold up doing that, it made the cut. That
is a hell of a process. I would love to hear more about that. What? Because I mean, that's very true. Because if a song can hold its own by just literally the most organic aspect of it, of the bare bones, well then you can bring that and then begin to layer. Because I know a lot of times where people will have songs and it's here and it's full throttle, and it's like, okay, is it just full throttle to be full throttle, or could we actually, or is it like a legitimate song and has the bones and the structure to it? So if you could just tell us kind of about what that process was, and what song was like the banger that was like, okay, this is the first one that is going to be, that we're going to do.
Let's see. I think when we were doing Counterpart with Mark, we had, I think we had like 16 or 17 songs that we'd written. We had a whole bunch of songs that we pitched, and we only ended up recording 7 because we basically took everything that we had and we went through everything one by one, and we, our process eliminated them. I think there was, when we did Strike This Out, was actually the last song that we wrote before we put them down on the album, and that one was the one that I think we were the most excited about, actually, because it was just like, it was like that sweet spot of, like, it was new enough that it felt fresh to us still, but it was done, it was written, and we knew, like, all the parts that we needed to have in it, and it wasn't just like getting sliced up. But it was like, it's really, you have to be very diligent about it when you're going through pre-production, and you have to, it's really important to be able to just take your song and, like, mix it up, and just, like, take if you have, like, that double chorus or something, make sure you're trying playing it without the double chorus, maybe not even with the chorus at all, or, like, just half the verse, like, doing all these different things that you can think of to, like, ensure that the song structure that you have at the end of the day is, like, the song structure that you want. Because it's, like, it's so easy for us to, like, go on the extended guitar solo or something, and Mark would always do this thing where he's like,
cut it.
And that's when you know that you've gone too long, and you're like, nope, gotta cut out that extended guitar solo, because that's...
It's interesting you say that, because, like, how are you guys with taking constructive criticism? Because I know a lot of time it's just like, you go in and you have this mind frame, it's like, man, this is the best shit I've ever written, this is the best thing I've ever come up, and somebody goes, yo, cut it. Like, you just, you're going on too long?
There was definitely, sometimes it kind of rubbed me the wrong way, but I was able to like kind of just like not like rebel for the sake of rebelling and be like, no, there's a reason why we're doing this, and there's a reason why we got Mark to work with us. Where it's like they needed someone that had gone through the process and put actual songs on the radio that knew what they were talking about, and it's like there were so many lessons that we had to learn very quickly from that, and that was the biggest one where it's like sometimes you just gotta cut the thing, and it's like it can be a little heartbreaking when it's like when I want the song to be longer than 3 minutes, but like no, cut. Doesn't serve any purpose. It's like it's dead weight. It's just there kind of thing, and so that was.
Now, do you guys have
I learned that lesson, but I'm also sad that I had to learn it. It was there was a lot of times where it's like, but I want to have this bit here.
Do you guys have any songs that you cut for the album, but when you play live, you just like jam out on for like another minute, or?
Yeah, I think a lot of we would always tell ourselves that we would put all the stuff back in, but we ended up just practicing to like the final version because it sounded better anyway. We're like, okay, we understand now.
Yep.
Like after the wounds heal, you're like, this is the way it should be. But we used to play this song called Warm Up, and that was like the hardest one that we didn't record because we went through a dozen iterations of like stuff like progressions and structure for the song, and it ended up just like not getting recorded. I don't think we played it live for a long time after that, but it was like one of our favorite ones that we played live before that, and it just at the end of the day we cut it up and rearranged it so many times that we didn't know what the song was anymore. And it was just like it almost like lost its magic once you like dissected it and put it back together. I was like, is this the way that it was? I don't remember anymore. And it's like, okay, well, like I'll write another song. It's fine.
Now, as musicians and being in bands, we play the same songs over and over and over again. What's one track that you guys, doesn't matter what time of the day it is, it's like, okay, it's coming up. This is what gets the gets the guns firing. What song is that?
Probably Off Your Radar.
Off Your Radar?
Yeah, that one is always like got the high octane kind of bam in your face kind of thing, and it's like we played it so many times, but it's still like I still can get like excited to play it. It's always a pump up one.
Okay, Off Your Radar by Iduna, just so everybody caught that. Okay, so now this is something that, like, for me, or even for us as a band, we definitely struggle with set times. You play a set where it's an hour, you play a set where it's 45 minutes, you play a set when it's half an hour. Do you guys have multiple sets where you're like, all right, we're going to go in this and we're going to pick our top 6 songs or whatever? Do you guys have that adjustment in your repertoire where you're making those?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we definitely had. I guess when we were playing more shows, we definitely had a couple of sets that we'd had like lined up, and especially because like Tim would go through and do the lights show. Like, he would get the lights all programmed and ready to go for us. And so that was always a big thing as well. And so we needed to... Everything needed to be planned in advance for that, because you need to have all this... You need to have a map of all the song transitions and all the parts in the song in order to like line the lights up properly with them. And so if they kind of go off, then it gets a little weird. So yeah, there was definitely like... We definitely had like specific time frames and like, all right, if we're doing a 30-minute set, we play this set. If we have a 45-minute set, we have this one. And then I don't think we had an hour one because no one wants to listen to us play for an hour. It's, especially like not to like sound disparaging or anything. It's just like when you're doing bar shows, like an hour is too long.
Yeah,
it's just the way it is, and that's fine.
If you get it, it's interesting because like you know, depending on especially depending on how many bands are on the bill, you know, playing an hour, it's a lot. Like it takes a lot out of you, and especially if you have two people opening before you, it's a lot of music, and you gotta make sure that you come out guns blazing because those people have already, you know, sweated out most of the night, and you gotta keep them engaged. So, yeah. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play. This is going to be Nosedive, if I'm not mistaken. This.
I think I gave you the link for Creeping In, but if you want
Creeping. Oh, that's what it is. Nope, we'll go with Creeping In. So give me 1 second, and I'm going to get that going. Everybody, you can stare at Sonic for 1 second while I do this.
Oh man, I played that game so much.
Nice. You should have chose.
I should have chose video games.
I can't believe that you didn't choose the video game. It's breaking my heart. Breaking my heart. Hang on 1 second. Alright. Just a bit of a thing here. So when was this actually filmed though?
When did we release this? It was May 2018, right? I think 2 years ago. I guess we did this 2.5 years ago then. I think that's right. Jeez. I don't know. Time starts to not mean much after a while. Yeah, because we released Counterpart in 2010.
Counterpart, yeah.
So it was the next year after that, so the 2018.
Okay.
So I guess, it's almost 2 years ago exactly that we released it. So I guess it would have been, I guess we did the video, I want to say March.
Okay.
Jeez, I don't even remember anymore.
All right, so it's gonna play, and everybody, I hope that you enjoy this. I think it's absolutely amazing. You'll understand what I mean by their transitions and just the way that the music really, really complements the video. So here we go. Awesome.
It's really weird to hear it through. I can hear it kind of playing through the speakers, but it's like I cannot recognize it. It's very weird.
Probably because of the way that we're streaming, but I think that everybody listening could hear it.
Yeah, no. It's just because I can hear it coming through your speakers.
Oh, okay.
And then it was sort of interesting.
Man, honestly, that last kind of like transition to the chorus where you hold that note and it transitions into that last spot. I remember the first time I heard that, I was like, that's like professional grade, and it was really, really well done. So nicely done.
Thank you.
I guess at this point, I'm gonna ask you to just plug away, man. Tell us about all the links that everybody needs to check out, band pages, everything. What do we got to listen to?
Well, we have our band website, so idunamusic.com. That's just regular old website from that's been around forever. So you can go there and you can check out the news that we're putting down there. You can check us out on Facebook. We're just Iduna Music. I think we're just Iduna Music everywhere because we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on SoundCloud, we're on Bandcamp, we're on YouTube. I can't even think of anything else off the top of my head. I'm sure there's more.
MySpace.
Yeah, we didn't have a MySpace.
Check out their ICQ page.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Go and start putting that website together now.
All right, my man. Well, this has been an absolute pleasure. I love your guys' band. You guys, every member in your guys' band are just genuine dudes, and I really, really look forward to when we can play again. And I wish you guys all the best, and stay safe, and keep making that awesome creative stuff that you guys do.
Thanks, man. You too. And stay safe out there. And I'm hoping we can go up to Ottawa and we can all jam out and I just really want to thank you.
I know. All right, man. Rock long and prosper. Take care, buddy. See ya. Bye.